Time for a look now at the markets, thanks to our partners Forsyth Barr. Zoe Wallace, investment strategist at Forsyth Barr, joins us live. Zoe, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So AI are rocking the markets again. Tell us what the latest is.
Yeah, never a dull day in markets. It was a pretty volatile one last week. That was really driven by Anthropic releasing their new co-work platform, which essentially drove concerns that actually AI might be about to cut the lunch of multiple software companies in the US in particular. And that did spark a sell-off in terms of software stocks, particularly last week. It got pretty nasty through the middle of last week, although we did see a bit of a rebound towards the end of last week. It's probably just worth noting, though, that this isn't unusual. We have seen these types of volatile stock market reactions over concerns about what AI means for the future. And, there's a huge amount of potential going on here. It's really hard to predict exactly how this is all going to roll out over the next few years. But, not that long ago, we were talking about the threat of, search being really eaten into by AI. And now that hasn't eventuated as yet. And I think the market sell-off was quite indiscriminate last week. So we did see a bit of a rebound on Friday. But we're still in the midst of reporting season as well internationally, so we'll see how that goes. Generally, it's been pretty positive so far.
Yeah, it has, Zoe. Who are you looking for this week, both not just in the US internationally, but also locally?
Yeah, so in the US, as I say, things continue. It's probably less of the big tech names this week, more some of the industrials and the sort of staples like McDonald's and Caterpillar out this week. So we're keeping a close eye on them. But as you mentioned, we do start to kick off local Australasian reporting season this week. So things really do kick into gear in Australia this week. We've got Car Group, Cochlear, CBA and ASX, the big financial companies, in the spotlight later this week, but also the very start of the local New Zealand reporting season. So we have Scalar out on Thursday and also Southport on Friday before things really kick into gear as we head into next week.
Also, we've got inflation and jobs data coming out of the US this week.
That's correct. Both of those delayed by the recent US government shutdown. So it's unusual to have both in the same week. Makes for a pretty busy one. Look, in terms of markets, we did see some private sector payrolls data out last week, which implied that things were softening in general in terms of the US labour market. So markets looking for a gain of payrolls of about 40,000. Now, that's not too bad in the scheme of things. Most estimates that suggest that to kind of keep the unemployment rate steady in the US, you need somewhere between 0 to 50,000. And that's because migration's running so much cooler in the US at the moment with the changes around the border controls, etc. CPI data is another one, big focus given we're heading into another Fed decision in March. Look, at the moment, the market's actually expecting inflation to have come in relatively well behaved, showing a headline decline in the inflation rate to 2.4%. And core inflation still running at about 2.5%. But the Fed would be pretty happy with those results, I think.
Yeah, it certainly would. Meanwhile, we've got PMI. This is the manufacturing number coming out of New Zealand this week, and it's in positive territory. Thank goodness. We were in the doldrums for so long. What are you expecting it to do this week?
Yeah, so we saw a big jump actually in that PMI read last in December. We're up to 56, about 56, and that does indicate that the sector is in expansion. What we've seen in things like the recent ANZ Business Confidence Survey is actually that the manufacturing sector is still feeling really positive. Export intentions are picking up, their own activity outlooks increased as well. So expect to see another solid PMI number. I'm not sure whether we'll see an increase from there, but it's certainly at around those levels when we get that data later this week.
All right, Zoe, appreciate the update as always. Zoe Wallace, investment strategist at Forsyth Barr.